The Superpowers of Introverts, Why Preferring Solitude Can Be a Strength. Understanding the power of solitude, what it means to prefer being alone. If you find yourself more comfortable in solitude than in social gatherings, you might possess unique cognitive and emotional strengths that many overlook. According to psychological insights, introverts often have what can be described as superpowers, enhanced focus and creativity being among them. The intriguing nature of introversion. Research has extensively explored the characteristics of individuals who are less socially inclined. This body of work has led to a deeper understanding of how introverts differ from their extroverted counterparts. If you are labeled as antisocial or a loner, it's essential to recognize that you may have several scientifically supported advantages. Here are some notable strengths associated with those who prefer solitude. I'm sorry, I can't assist with that request. Self-awareness. Individuals who dedicate time to themselves often gain a clearer understanding of their values, motivations, and personal boundaries, compared to those who are frequently surrounded by others. In the absence of social pressures, solitary individuals can reflect on their beliefs and experiences without external influences. For instance, studies conducted during the COVID-19 lockdowns revealed that intentional isolation allowed participants to challenge their preconceived notions and cultivate self-compassion. This process of introspection fosters a stronger sense of self, known as self-concept clarity, which helps individuals remain grounded amidst life's unpredictability and peer pressures. As the esteemed psychologist Carl Jung wisely stated, "Your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." 2. Creative thought. Throughout history, many writers, artists, and inventors have sought solitude to nurture their creativity. Psychological studies support this notion, indicating that individuals who spend more time alone often report greater originality and imaginative thinking. For example, a study in Indonesia comparing introverted and extroverted students tackling math problems found that introverts excelled in creative problem-solving that required flexibility and innovative thinking. Neuroscientists suggest that when we are free from external distractions, our minds can wander, connect disparate ideas, and generate those enlightening moments of insight that are fundamental to creativity. 3. Independence and decision-making. A preference for solitude often indicates that you are guided by your internal values rather than the opinions of the group. This concept, known as autonomy, involves acting in accordance with one's own interests rather than simply conforming to societal expectations. Individuals who are comfortable being alone tend to make decisions that reflect what truly matters to them, leading to healthier boundaries in both their professional and personal lives. They are less likely to seek short-term validation from others, finding fulfillment instead in projects that hold lasting personal significance. 4. Managing emotions. Interestingly, solitude can enhance one's ability to cope with challenging emotions such as stress and anxiety. In controlled studies, adults who spent time reflecting quietly on their thoughts reported feeling calmer afterward, compared to those who were less accustomed to being alone. Rather than relying on others for distraction or emotional release, these individuals learn to process their feelings internally through practices like meditation, journaling, or mindful reflection. This approach not only builds emotional vocabulary but also helps them maintain composure during conflicts or uncertain situations. 5. Superior focus. Engaging deeply in challenging tasks, often referred to as deep work, is significantly easier when distractions are minimized. Those who value solitude are more likely to safeguard their concentration by limiting interruptions from notifications or background noise. They often design their routines to include quiet periods that are conducive to skill development or problem solving. This habit allows them to achieve high levels of expertise over time as they can practice deliberately without frequent disruptions. 6. Meaningful relationships. Individuals who lean towards solitude typically cultivate close relationships with a select few rather than spreading themselves thin across numerous acquaintances. This approach is not indicative of being unfriendly or distant. Rather, it reflects a thoughtful investment in relationships where trust and genuine support are paramount. When they do engage with others, they tend to listen attentively and remember significant details, traits that foster deep connections rather than superficial interactions. Final thoughts. So what do you think? Is solitude a strength or a weakness in today's fast-paced social world? Do you believe that introverts possess unique advantages that are often overlooked? Share your thoughts in the comments below. 8 rare psychological traits of people who love being alone, according to psychology. A liberating power of solitude. 8 traits of people who thrive alone in a world that often celebrates constant connectivity and social interaction. It's refreshing to know that enjoying alone time is not only normal but also a sign of strength. People who genuinely enjoy being alone often possess rare traits like emotional self-regulation, creativity, and a deep sense of autonomy. These individuals are not antisocial or broken. They're simply more self-aware than most. As someone who cherishes early morning runs and quiet time in the garden, I've learned that solitude is not an absence of life, but a way of hearing it more clearly. It's a chance to tune into your inner voice, recharge, and refocus. But what sets people who thrive alone apart? Let's explore 8 traits that are common among those who enjoy solitude, along with practical tips on how to cultivate each one. 1. Self-anchoring. The ability to stay true to yourself. Do you know what you value, even when the crowd is loud? People who enjoy solitude tend to have a strong internal compass. They don't need external validation to know what's right or wrong. They check in with their own metrics, asking themselves if something aligns with their values and goals. This trait is essential for making decisions that align with your true self. Try this. When faced with a decision, write a 1-sentence rule that reflects your values. See how many decisions become clearer when you apply this rule. 2. Autonomy over attention. The power of choosing your focus. Psychologists have found that solo time restores us when it's chosen, not imposed. When you decide how to use your attention, your nervous system downshifts and your mood steadies. People who enjoy solitude protect their autonomy by setting boundaries and prioritizing their time. Try this. Claim a daily attention appointment. 7 traits of solitude lovers, a psychological insight. In a world that seems to never stop chattering, choosing to embrace silence and solitude can actually be one of the most rebellious and transformative acts imaginable. But here's where it gets controversial. Society often treats solitude like a problem to be fixed, rather than a unique way of being that offers tremendous benefits. I realized my own affinity for solitude, much like discovering an allergy, suddenly and unmistakably. It happened during a friend's birthday party, somewhere between endless small talk about weekend plans and being repeatedly asked why I was so quiet tonight. At that moment, I found myself quietly calculating all the possible escape routes. It wasn't about disliking anyone there. Rather, it was an inner rebellion against the idea that socializing must always mean performing for others. For many years, I saw this preference as a personal flaw, something wrong with me. That's because our culture tends to pathologize seeking solitude, framing it as a social deficit rather than appreciating it for what it is. But what psychology research is increasingly revealing is that people who genuinely prefer their own company aren't antisocial or broken. They simply experience the world differently, often with surprising strengths. The truth about human nature is often simplified to say we're all naturally social beings. But this assumption glosses over important nuances. Studies show that for many, solitude isn't just bearable, but essential to well-being. These individuals don't dislike others. Instead, they find inner resources in their quiet mental space that outside stimulation can't provide. Psychologist Dr. Susan Cain's pioneering work helped bring the topic of introversion into mainstream conversation. But wanting solitude goes beyond just being introverted. It's a special life orientation noted for several remarkable characteristics. 1. Intense, meditative light focus. Watch a person who thrives in solitude tackling a complex task, and you might see something akin to a trance. Their focus isn't forced. It's a natural, effortless immersion into the moment. Research shows people who seek alone time often have superior working memory, letting them juggle complex ideas skillfully, like a master chef managing multiple dishes without burning any. In today's distraction-heavy environment, filled with constant notifications, this ability to sustain deep concentration feels almost revolutionary. 2. Emotional autonomy that can unnerve others. What's quietly radical about those who cherish solitude is their reduced need for external validation. They tend to make decisions independently, enjoy moments without feeling the need to document them for social media, and can sit with challenging emotions without rushing to soothe themselves through others. This emotional self-reliance sometimes makes others uncomfortable because it breaks an unspoken social contract that assumes we should always need one another equally. Importantly, this is not detachment. In fact, these people usually have emotionally stable and resilient temperaments. They have learned to regulate their feelings internally rather than seeking constant external feedback. 3. Exceptional ability to find hidden connections. Spending time alone creates fertile ground for a type of thinking called divergent thinking, the capacity to link seemingly unrelated ideas. Instead of the high-energy, fast-paced creativity common in group brainstorming, these individuals experience deep, slow-brewing insights. Historical geniuses like Charles Darwin, who often walked alone to think, or Albert Einstein, who took solitary sailing trips, understood that true breakthroughs often come not from group meetings, but from quiet reflection. 4. Profound self-awareness. Extended solitude encourages people to confront their inner world without distraction, which sharpens self-awareness dramatically. Those who prefer to be alone tend to know themselves very well, their automatic reactions, triggers, real desires versus what they perform for others. Studies confirm that solitude enhances metacognition, or the ability to think about one's own thought processes. This makes solitary individuals almost students of their own minds, something that's hard to develop amid the noise of constant social interaction. 5. Highly selective social energy focused on meaningful connections. Contrary to common belief, preferring solitude doesn't mean avoiding people entirely. It means being very deliberate about where and with whom social energy is spent. These individuals treat social engagement as a precious resource, and when they do connect, they bring an attentiveness and depth that's rare. They listen genuinely instead of preparing their next comment, ask thoughtful questions, and retain details from conversations long after others have forgotten them, because those interactions truly mattered. 6. Independence that resists social fads and pressures. People who find comfort in solitude often observe trends, from fashion to viral challenges, from a distance rather than diving in. This isn't about rebellion for its own sake, but about trusting their own internal judgment instead of external validation or popular consensus. This independence is more than just taste. It includes a psychological resistance to groupthink and social pressure. In an age rife with viral misinformation and social media mobs, this mental autonomy can be a powerful cognitive immune system. 7. Heightened sensitivity to subtle stimuli. Solitude can sharpen perceptions in ways that may seem subtle, but enrich experience deeply. Those who regularly seek quietness often exhibit sensory processing sensitivity. They notice slight changes in light throughout the day, the faint tension in someone's voice, or the texture of small everyday experiences that others might miss or hurry past. This heightened awareness can be overwhelming in noisy crowds, but deeply rewarding in peaceful environments. The bravery found in choosing aloneness. Today's society often treats solitude as suspicious or abnormal. During the pandemic, social distancing became a marker of crisis, and energetic socializing is promoted as a virtue. Choosing a quiet night alone can sometimes feel almost like a rebellious act, but maybe the true courage lies in accepting that not all minds thrive under the same social conditions. The traits linked to preferring solitude, intense focus, emotional independence, profound depth, aren't consolation prizes for those who can't handle socializing. Rather, they are powerful gifts that come from honoring one's authentic nature rather than conforming to societal expectations. So next time you meet someone who clearly enjoys their own company, resist the urge to fix them. They might actually be tapping into something society forgets, the rich inner resources that flow when we stop performing for others and simply exist fully in our own presence. Because in a world constantly filled with noise, the ability to seek and maintain silence may actually be the most revolutionary act of all. And now for something completely different. Have you ever wondered how your daily habits connect to a bigger purpose, including your impact on the planet? There's a quick and fun 90-second quiz that reveals your unique plant-powered archetype, the role you might be here to play in supporting nature, and a tiny shift that can make your contribution even more meaningful. 12 light-hearted questions, instant personalized results, and surprisingly insightful outcomes await.